The first strange thing happened on a Tuesday morning. Grace had woken up early, as always, to prepare her soup for the day. When she opened her pot of goat meat pepper soup, she froze. Floating in the broth was a dead lizard, its pale belly bloated, its tiny claws stiff. She dropped the lid with a clang and stepped back. Her kitchen was small and always kept locked. How could a lizard have gotten in? She poured the soup away, scrubbing the pot until her arms ached before cooking a fresh batch. The next day brought another surprise. Her bag of rice, bought only 2 days earlier, had been soaked in palm oil. She found it that way when she went to scoop from it. The reddish stain had seeped deep into the grains. "That's strange," she muttered. She thought maybe the market boys were playing a prank, but they all swore they knew nothing about it. 3 days later, as she was closing her stall at dusk, she felt eyes on her. Across the road stood a small figure, no taller than a 10-year-old. His clothes were dusty, his bare feet coated in red dust. He stared at her silently. When she looked directly at him, he turned and walked away. But the moment she turned back to lock her door, she felt it again, his gaze. She whipped around, but there was no one there. That night, she dreamt of a boy standing beside her cooking pots, whispering words she could not understand. His eyes were sharp, his lips curved into a strange smile. One morning, Michael, a young man who often came for breakfast, leaned close after eating and said quietly, "Auntie Grace, be careful. Not everyone who eats your food wishes you well." She frowned. "What do you mean?" He shook his head. "Just watch your back," he said, and walked away. Grace dismissed it, but a faint unease settled in her chest. Market day in Umoni was always a noisy, colorful affair. Traders from nearby villages arrived before sunrise, setting up stalls piled high with tomatoes, onions, smoked fish, and bright fabrics. Drums from the church carried over the market chatter, and the air was thick with the smell of spices, roasted corn, and fresh palm wine. Grace woke earlier than usual, determined to make enough food for the busy day. She hummed a hymn as she cooked, pots of jollof rice, fried plantain, beans, pepper soup. The aroma filled the morning air. By 9 a.m., her stall was packed. She served quickly, smiling and calling customers by name. Everything felt normal. Until 11 a.m. Mama Kemi clutched her stomach and fell to the ground. 2 Okada riders staggered outside and began vomiting. More followed, traders, schoolchildren, laborers. All had eaten from Grace's stall. Panic spread. "She has poisoned us," someone screamed. "You want to kill us all," shouted another. Grace dropped her spoon. "No. I swear I don't know what happened." But the crowd wasn't listening. Pots were overturned, plates smashed. Someone tried to drag her forward, but Chief Okoro's guard stepped in, ordering her to follow them to the town hall. As she was led away, she saw him again, the boy from her dreams. He stood under the almond tree, smiling that strange smile. This time, she knew she wasn't imagining him. That night in the town hall, Grace couldn't sleep. The image of the boy haunted her. She thought back to her early years in the village. There was something she had buried deep in her memory, something she never told anyone. It happened 15 years ago, when she and Daniel had been married for only 2 years. She had been pregnant once, just once. It was a difficult pregnancy, and Daniel's mother, who disliked her, insisted she visit a local herbalist to strengthen the baby. Grace had gone reluctantly. The herbalist, a strange old woman named Mama Ebra, gave her a dark concoction to drink. 2 days later, Grace miscarried. In her grief, she confronted Mama Ebra, who only laughed and said, "The child you carried was not meant for this world. If you had given birth, it would have brought you sorrow." Grace never forgave her. Not long after, Mama Ebra's hut caught fire in the night. Many believed it was an accident, but some whispered that Grace had been seen near the hut that evening. Mama Ebra died in the fire. But according to village gossip, she had been a powerful woman who knew how to send curses from the grave. Grace had dismissed those stories, until now. Because the boy she kept seeing looked exactly like the image Mama Ebra had described of her unborn child, he would have had sharp eyes and a smile that hides anger. Was this boy a ghost? And if so, why now? The truth came out 3 days later, when the police finally traced the source of the poison. It wasn't in Grace's cooking oil or her spices. It was in the water she used that morning to cook her rice. Someone had poured a dangerous pesticide into her water tank before dawn. The culprit shocked everyone. It was Samuel, a 12-year-old boy who often hung around the market helping traders carry goods. When questioned, Samuel admitted he had been paid by a woman in white cloth to poison the water. He said she promised him money and freedom from bad luck if he did it. When the police asked who the woman was, Samuel simply said, "She didn't walk like a normal person. She floated." Grace felt her knees weaken. The elders decided to perform a cleansing ritual at the market. During the ritual, the village priest declared that the spirit of Mama Ebra had indeed returned, using the boy Samuel as her vessel to take revenge on Grace for her death years ago. The sickness was not meant to kill everyone, it was meant to destroy Grace's name and the life she had built. The villagers, realizing Grace was not at fault, begged for her forgiveness. Many of the sick recovered, though a few never fully regained their strength. Grace returned to her store weeks later, but she was never the same. She worked quietly, no longer staying late in the market. And sometimes, when the sun set and the shadows grew long, she swore she could still see the boy standing under the almond tree, watching her and smiling.